Hey, my name is Wyatt. Been working on a new project lately. I'm gonna try to take my 600cc motorcycle to the Bonneville Salt Flats, where they set the land speed records. I've tried to work on this a couple different ways. I don't have any experience on salt, and I've had very little track time in general, and certainly none on this motorcycle. And wondering how I'm gonna get this accomplished. So I've set forth to talk to some of my smarter friends, some engineering types and whatnot, to help me try to do the math and figure out how fast can I go, what parts should I buy. Haven't had a lot of luck with them. My boy Gavin was working on it but wasn't able to come through in the end. So I got on a website called, I believe it's gearcalculator.com or something. I'll figure it out and let you know, but and I had a look at what kind of gear ratios I could set up. Because the main thing is going to be when I'm out on the salt, I've got 1 or 2 or 4 miles depending on which event I'm in, and I need to get up to that top speed. The record for my event is in the 166 range, I believe. I think it's 165.7, and so my speed's probably not going to be there. I'm a little bit heavier, as I think the person who said it was female. I was set a few years ago. But you never know. If the salt is miraculous, it could be what we're looking for as far as the right conditions to let me get there. I thought, hey, why don't I get some math going to help me? And that was the point of trying to get my friend Gavin to help me sort this thing out. Now, after trying to crunch large calculations, figuring out wind resistance, traction coefficients, different torque and horsepower curves, all kinds of different complications, I just went and looked at what kind of parts could I buy for this motorcycle, and it turned out there are only a couple front sprockets I could even get. Most people that buy this motorcycle want to take it to track day or race, and most of the time they're looking to actually shorten the gearing up so that it has a little more pull out of the corners and a little bit less of a top end issue, as most racetracks tend to be fairly short, especially in this area. So for me, looking to lengthen out the gearing, there weren't a lot of choices. There was only one sprocket for the front I could buy. So I went from stock 16 tooth to a 17 tooth sprocket, which is 2 up from where the bike was actually set up. The kid I bought the bike from, it's an '05 CBR 600RR. I bought it last summer with about just over 3,500 miles on it, and he had put a 15 tooth sprocket on the front, again trying to help the bike get off the corner a little bit better, and then on the rear he put a 45 tooth sprocket, the stock being 43, same effect. So what I've done is I bought a few different sprockets for the occasion. I've got a couple of cheapo heavy steel Parts Unlimited sprockets. I've got a 41 and a 40 tooth, 41 and a 42, and then I've also got a higher end Renthal sprocket, much lighter weight. This is the 40 tooth sprocket. I don't know. So this is the most extreme gearing I could get, 40 back and a 17 front. So I'm not sure what I'm actually going to run on the salt. The rear sprocket being the most expensive, this Renthal, I'm hoping not to use it. What's going to depend on is whether or not the bike has the steam to utilize that extra gearing or not in the distance that we're looking at. The first thing that I've got to decide is which race I'm going to run. Basically have 3 options given my situation. The first one we call the 130 club. Basically you have to keep the bike between 130 and 140 on 2 consecutive, over 2 runs. Not going over 140 is the key on that. This is kind of an entry-level club race type thing to get you interested in land speed trials. And I think they give you a hat or something, maybe a plaque or sandwich, who knows. But that's the first club. I'm gonna give that a go. Just get our feet wet, see if we're capable of that kind of speed mentally, emotionally, as well as the machine itself. It's at a high altitude, so that's another interesting piece. And then the salt's going to be a lot less traction and so forth. So the 130 club is the first thing that we're going to do. It's a 1 mile track, so you don't have a lot of time to get up to that speed, but it shouldn't be too difficult. The next race that we're going to attempt, if we get the 130 done, is the 150 club. Again, same thing, 150 to 160. It made a lot of sense for me to try this one because, again, it's just a little bit less going on, a little easier than the full normal race. The record being just over 160 means that it's going to be really tough to beat 160 is my thinking. So why don't we do this one? It's a little less expensive, it's a little easier to get involved in, a little easier just to compete. Only need a handful of modifications to and equipment, but it's not much different than the main race though. But so that's what we're going to do. If that works out and we're able to move up to the full actual race, which is a 4 mile track, that's where we'd really have a shot at hitting the record. We'll know if we're near that 160 mark and still pulling, if that's something worth pursuing or not. So those are kind of the options. That's where we are. Today is Sunday before Labor Day. We head out a week from Tuesday, so I have just over a week and a half to get ready, get everything going. At this time, I have the bike and I have some parts. I still need to get a kill switch tether that will work for this bike. I've looked it up, and apparently I need a normally closed circuit kill switch. I had it normally open, didn't work. So we need to order that, and hopefully that gets here in time. I do have it set up. They're ready to go. Let me see if I can switch the camera. Nope. We've got the wiring harness all set, ready to accept. Here you can see all I have to do is pop this open and insert the switch. Other than that, we don't need a whole lot. I've switched out my smoked screen for a clear one so I can see easier. I've got a GPS mount. I'm not sure if we're going to use it or not. The challenge is the cockpit is small, it's tight. When I have my head in place, I'm not able to see very well what's on that GPS. The mount doesn't give me a whole lot of room to play with. Unfortunately, I can't twist it any further based on this ball clamp design, so it's going to be a challenge. The nice thing about it is when you change your gearing, it screws up the speedometer, so I was hoping I could use the GPS to keep me give me a little bit more data information without having to spend much more money. But we'll see how that works. Anyway, this is my first installment. I tend to chronicle the rest of my trip, and maybe I'll sew these all into a single video at some point. But go ahead and follow me if you like. We're gonna put on some parts. We're gonna load up the truck and drive to Wendover, Nevada, Utah, which is a couple 100 miles away. I don't know, around 8, I think. And we're going to hook up with my dad. He's going to be there with a Yamaha VMAX. And we're going to try to run both bikes and see what we can do. Thanks for watching. Take care.